Joe, is this a little bit of an example of what you were talking about this morning about spreading the floor and ball movement being key to everything? Did you feel like most of those looks were pretty wide open?
Yeah, no, it's exactly what we talked about this morning. I think a lot of it is just sort of feeling the game, though, too. Last game one, we weren't, ourselves offensively, and I think a lot of it was just, getting settled in, like I mentioned this morning, kind of trying to find our way. There's a lot of excitement, just being back with fans in the building. But tonight, a lot of the stuff that we had kind of worked on in practice in terms of spacing, get into our spots, and just, trying to make the extra pass too. I mean, we saw game one how much they collapsed when guys, get into the paint, or even, how keyed in they were with Kyrie, James, Kevin. So, it was one of those situations where a lot of it was just extra pass and me just trying to find windows.
Malika Andrews, ESPN.
Hey, Joe, I'm just wondering at what point was like, all right, I hit one, all right, I hit another. Okay, now I feel like I actually got it. And then was there any part of you that's like, oh, I'm one off my career high. Can I just keep going for it?
To be honest, I wasn't really thinking about it a ton. I was just, you're so just sort of caught up in the game, the rhythm of the game. And a lot of it too with me, I mean, I kind of say the same stuff even during the regular season where, if I have space, I mean, I'm going to shoot it. So, like tonight, for instance, I was able to get 10 shots up. So a lot of the times it's like if I have space or room and rhythm, I'm looking to try and be aggressive. Other games, the game sort of fluctuates and you just have to take and give whatever the game gives you. And tonight was one of those situations where I just had a lot of open looks early, and then you get the confidence going, start hunting a little bit more, and guys are looking for you.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Joe, I'm just curious what you thought of Kevin's defense on Tatum. Obviously, he had the hot start in game one, and it seemed like Kevin completely cut him off, and I don't think he scored a lot outside of Kevin being off the court.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, obviously, just his length, athleticism, he poses a lot of problems defensively. And when he's locked in, engaged, he can be an unbelievable defender. And he showed that tonight against Jason, who's obviously one of the better offensive players that the league has.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Joe, how's it going? Congratulations on the win. I'm wondering, you said you had a good amount of open looks for a guy who led the league in 3-point shooting this year. Do you ever find yourself surprised or maybe even feel disrespected that teams leave you open?
No, I mean, again, it's just like, teams got to take away something. It's sort of a pick your poison sort of situation with us. And, there's definitely games where, teams closing out too hard. But with us, when the ball is moving like it was tonight and guys are putting so much pressure on the paint, and then everybody's so cognizant or worried about, those three guys, you just got to find windows. And, tonight the ball was just, was being sprayed around, and it was really just finding me early on. So, I don't really take it as a sign of disrespect or anything like that. I think it's just sort of this is this is the reality of the matter. I mean, we have three of the best offensive players that really have ever played. So,
Ryan Lewis, New York Post.
Following up on Joe, that's kind of what I wanted to ask. When you go from game one to game two, you did discuss the ball movement. I mean, you did discuss the spacing. The looks that you were getting, do you chalk that up to better ball movement, a different way that they were guarding you guys, or is it something else?
Well, I thought that for sure our spacing was definitely better today. I thought that we did a better job getting out in transition too. A lot of the looks that we got early on, because we got stopped and we were able to push. Game one, it seemed a lot of the offensive possessions were a little bit slower, where even if we got a stop, we weren't necessarily getting out, putting pressure on them. And today, it was definitely a lot of we were just the aggressors early on, and we put a lot of pressure on them, but a lot of it started with the defense. And then again, like I mentioned this morning, we know just from game one how hard they were collapsing on everybody when they got into the paint. And so just being basically a willing passer, and there was a lot of extra pass situations where guys got open looks.
Brian Mahoney, AP.
Hey, Joe, after you hit 3 in a row in the first quarter, you had that steal and you were dribbling the ball up the court. You could kind of hear the crowd gasp a little bit. Like, would you pull up on the break and shoot the 3? Does that cross your mind at all?
No, I wasn't really thinking about it, to be honest. I think I had Kevin running with me, and my whole thought process was just, putting pressure on the rim, seeing what Kemba decided to do. If he was going to come up on me, I was just going to drop it off to Kev, but he kind of tried to play in between two, and I just had a wide open lane.
James Herbert, CBS Sports.
Hey, Joe. You talked about this being, something you've worked on the last few days in terms of the spacing on the court and making sure the offense has more flow. But isn't that something that has been sort of stressed all season long? I was just hoping you could sort of walk us through how the offensive identity of the team has developed over the course of the year.
I think, it definitely is something that's been stressed over the course of the season. I think just because, the first playoff game, I think, there's definitely a little bit more of an attention and an analysis of the first game. And so that was just sort of a big takeaway from our coaching staff where, I think a lot of it was like sort of the level of excitement, the energy in the building. We were kind of creeping on top. So, if I was in the high quad, whether it was left or right, it seemed like in the game one, I had a tendency to kind of to creep over to the ball, bringing my defender and not allowing one of the three guys at least enough space to kind of room and to operate. So a lot of it was just talking about, getting even with the foul line extended and just trying to play in that area.
Thanks for your time, Joe.